Thank you. Good afternoon. My name's Peter Watson, and yes, I'm not Luke Graham, and he sends his apologies. Unfortunately, he ate something that didn't agree with him last night, so I'm sure he's disappointed. It's my pleasure, though, to introduce the Strandline business and portfolio of assets that we have as an emerging mineral sands developer company. I'm just trying to work out how to do this. Just a corporate snapshot. We've recently had an upswing in our market cap. I think through some very positive announcements and some really good milestones that we've achieved recently on our Tanzanian and Western Australian project portfolio. As you can see by some analyst research, we're still highly undervalued, so we'll talk about the investment case later. We have some good funding through to at least the end of this calendar year, and we'll talk about the activities that we expect to undertake this year. We have some fantastic tenement opportunities and assets in Tanzania and Australia, and they are both jurisdictions that are well known for mineral sands and zircon and ilmenite products. Our headquarters is in Perth. We have an operations office in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. Mineral sands is an interesting market. It tends to track with GDP, and as you'll see in the slide there has been an emerging supply-demand gap after the 2012 drop in pricing. That market is now starting to normalise itself, and in the new supply portion of that graph sits some of our projects already. So the project supply opportunities for Strandline will map nicely onto that supply-demand curve, and it's certainly giving us confidence in the commodity pricing forecast. We have a project pipeline that I think gives us great optionality in mineral sands. We have jurisdictional flexibility as well as project flexibility. In Tanzania, our target project is called Fungoni. It's 25 kilometres south of Dar es Salaam. We've just completed last year a definitive feasibility study. We've received our environmental certificate for that project. We submitted our mining licence application and are awaiting that to be adjudicated by the Commission, which is, as we just heard, about to be formed, we believe. The project is small and modest in scale, but as an existing explorer, we think that a $30 million US capital development as a first project for a company such as ours is probably a good first step. We have, though, a string of very high quality assets down the east coast of Tanzania. To the north, we have in the Tanga region the Tajiri project, which is emerging as an order of magnitude larger than Fungoni, with the same quality grade and assemblage as Fungoni. We have Bagamoyo in between Dar es Salaam and the Tanga region, and that's also in active exploration and drilling and looking very promising. And in the south, as we announced last year, we formed a joint venture with Rio Tinto to explore the southern tenements in country, as we were honestly stretched to our limit in terms of resourcing and capacity. And in that joint venture, Rio fund and we manage that exploration. And if there's a target found that meets Rio's criteria, we get free carry. And if they don't, then we get the benefit of their drilling and exploration activity. And across in Western Australia, we have our Coburn project, which is an order of magnitude in scale, again, larger than anything we have in Tanzania. It's close to 1 billion tonnes of heavy mineral in the ground, resource in the ground. And we have decided that we're going to develop that project in parallel to the Tanzanian assets to give us some hedging, if you like, on jurisdictional risk. I'll talk a bit more about Coburn in a moment. Fungoni itself, I won't go through all this detail, but it's got a very strong financial case for quite a modest-sized project. The execution strategy is as a modular processing facility to produce a zircon concentrate, chloride ilmenite and a high-tide product through advanced beneficiation through that modular facility. The modularisation of that facility de-risks somewhat the construction activity in country. We have just recently announced a binding offtake agreement for the life of project zircon concentrate production with Wancheng out of China, and that represents about 60% of the project revenue locked away in a take-or-pay contract. The mining itself is very simple. The the asset, or the ore bodies at surface. So there's literally zero strip ratio. It's free dig, dry mining, truck shovel operations, very simple activity. We have very well advanced stakeholder and community engagement processes occurring. Because of the nature of mineral sands, and I'll talk about it in a moment, there's progressive rehabilitation, and for a 6-year mine life, as Whanganei is, relatively short, obviously. The land acquisition is more a leasing arrangement, so we don't actually have to buy the land, we lease it, give it back rehabilitated. So that means that there's quite a different impact on the community. So we have this large portfolio in Tanzania. It's a continuation of the, if you like, the East Coast mineral sands projects, many of you would be familiar with. Roughly 2,000 square kilometres of portfolio in the tenure. Across to Coburn in Western Australia, as I mentioned, Coburn was a project that was advanced to pre-construction activity in 2012 through Gunson Resources. When Strandline took over Gunson Resources, we inherited this project. It's fully approved. It has all of its environmental and native title and heritage approvals in place, which we've maintained in good standing. The project is actually ready to commence implementation, subject to refreshing of construction permits. We've recently decided internally that whilst the last market announcements on this project were in 2015, that there is opportunity to substantially improve the financial metrics of this project by simplifying the flow sheet. And it maps nicely onto messaging we're hearing from China about their appetite for chloride ilmenite product. And we expect that through a series of optimisation and feasibility activity this year, that by the end of this year or thereabouts, we'll be able to announce the results of that optimisation phase for Coburn. So Strandline has therefore this project development suite with Whanganei at the top. We have advanced our EPC contractor negotiations ready for implementation and funding. We're in discussions with earthworks and mining contractors for implementation. We've got the offtake agreement that I mentioned. So once the mining licence is granted, hopefully sooner than later, we'll be able to go through final stages of funding and straight into design and construction, 12-month construction, through to first commissioning and into operations. In parallel to that, we have the Coburn project, as I mentioned, where we're seeing that by roughly December 19, we'd be at first stage operations on Coburn, subject to the activity of this year. And then we have our subsequent projects, the Tajiri project in the north, order of magnitude greater in size, with similar quality products as Whanganei. And then we have our Bagamoyo and Southern Tenement projects. So we have a pipeline of project targets and milestones that we intend to achieve. The team in Strandline is, while small, very experienced and very capable, and I think it's a very high quality team for obvious reasons. The investment rationale in Strandline. So the highly experienced board and management team have been in Tanzania for a long time, and we've had a lot of project development experience and delivery capability sitting in the management team and the board. We have a clear strategy for shareholder value and creation. We have what will become globally significant Tier 1 assets in mineral sands, especially in zircon and titanium resources, in a rising market. So that slide I showed you before with the supply demand is, the timing is very, very good for Strandline. We have geographical diversity, so our risk profile across Tanzania is offset somewhat by the Coburn project in Western Australia. We do, however, believe that there's a first mover advantage in Tanzania, opening up a new mineral sands province in what is obviously an Eastern African long-term history. We have two development-ready projects, the Whanganei project in Coburn, which will give us at least 20 years of identified operation and production capability. And at the moment, we're seriously undervalued, so please take a look. So please contact Luke if you'd like any further information, or come and see me at M3 over in the corner of the facility. Thanks very much.